What I have here in front of me is a couple of my plastic mesh armies, and in this video I'm going to give you a quick rundown on how you can create some of your own and get some big battles on the table relatively cheaply. So as you can see here, I have a couple of American Civil War armies. They are all made using small plastic sewing mesh, which is it's used as a guide for sewing and cross stitch, I believe. You can get it in different grades. I think the size I've used here is the 1.4 mil. I can't remember exactly, but I will put it in the video description, the exact size that I used. So essentially all of the little miniatures here, they're approximately 6mm scale, and they are made using this plastic sewing mesh. I'll give you a close-up view in a second so you can see exactly how they're made. I didn't create the idea. I got the idea from a post that I saw years ago where a guy had made some Lord of the Rings armies using this stuff here. If I can find the post again, I will put it in the description. I'm not sure if he invented it, but that's where I got the idea from, so credit where credit's due. I think it's a fantastic idea, and it lets you get some really big armies done relatively cheaply. And they look great as well on the table. So here's an example of some of the units that you can make. This here is a Confederate infantry brigade. So I have based these for the game Altar of Freedom, which is one of my favorite rule sets. So this is a 60mm wide by 30mm deep base. And then you can see here, I've got two strips of the grating that I've cut into sort of people-sized little strips. So they're essentially crosses. And then what I do is I have cut where the shoulders are, or where the arms would be, I've cut little wedges, if you can see there, which means that they have the appearance of individual soldiers when they're viewed from further away, like this. And then cut some individuals out to represent skirmishers. And then the flagpole is a piece of 0.6mm copper wire, which is used for hanging pictures and things like that. You can buy it in hobby shops. You can also get them. You can get them in like floral places as well. Like they're used for tying flowers or hanging paintings. And so that's what I use for the flagpoles. I just glue those on with some gel super glue, and that's how you can get some flags. The flags themselves I just printed them off online. I found them for free. So other things you can do is here I've got a general. So again, this is based for Altar of Freedom. So this is a general here, and then the way the game works is you put a label on the general. So this is just an unlabeled general, and then for the game, this here represents Van Dorn for the Confederate Army. So as you can see there, horses are slightly more complicated to make, but again, it's pretty simple. You can see there the shape that I've cut, and then for the rider, I just cut a cross shape and then literally just twist it. The plastic mesh is quite malleable and easy to bend. Just twist it and it holds its position. I've not used any glue or anything on the figure there. It's all part of the same piece of plastic with the horse. I've just twisted it round. So that's how you can make some cavalry. I've got an example here over the back here, just out of shot, of a cavalry unit. So this is an example of some Confederate cavalry. So I've got a couple of riders there with a standard bearer and some dismounted cavalrymen. And then another example, you can see here I've got some artillery on the table blasting away at each other. So this is an example of artillery. And this, again, the figures are made exactly the same way as all the other infantry. And then the cannons themselves are sort of longer pieces that I've cut, left space to create sort of the gun carriage where the wheels can be glued. And then the wheels themselves are very simply, they're cereal box cardboard that I hole punched using a regular hole punch. Glued those onto the side of the actual gun frame itself with some super glue and given them a brown coat. And then to differentiate easily between Confederate guns and Union guns, I have Confederate guns in their kind of Napoleon gun bronze. And then for Union guns, I've gone for the pure black kind of parrot gun style look for things. They don't represent specific types of guns in the game. They just represent, like, you know, batteries of artillery, but it's for ease of identification on the table. You know exactly what's Confederate and what's Union. But that's just personal taste. You can do that yourself. And then Something you can do for if you're creating HQs. So again, for Altar of Freedom, you have HQs. This is very simply just a normal base, and then cereal box cardboard cut into rectangles, folded over and painted to look like a couple of tents. Nice and easy, nice and simple. So I've got 2 fairly large armies, and they took me, well, I can't remember exactly how long they took me to make, but they didn't take very long. If you sat down perhaps over a couple of weekends, you could knock out a fairly large army. So the armies that I've got are large enough for me to allow me to play the Shiloh scenario from Altar of Freedom. So it's a fairly large number of bases that you need for that scenario. I won't be doing Gettysburg or Antietam anytime soon, but I can play medium to smaller engagements with this stuff, and you can also make, as I say, any sorts of figures with these. If you wanted to add a bit more detail, I guess you could use the copper wire to create spears. So if you wanted to go for ancients and you wanted to create pike formations, then you could use those for spears. Although I think then you'd be losing the advantage of speed with how quickly these are to make, because if you were gluing each spear on, that would take a long time. I think at that point you might better off be just buying models. But certainly for gunpowder era or ancients and medieval, if you're not fussed about having pikes represented with physical pikes on the model, you could just create blocks of units and represent those as pikes. Then it would work perfectly. So yeah, hopefully this has given you some inspiration. I definitely recommend it. They're nice and easy to make. They don't cost a lot, and it's good fun to experiment with. I'll be producing another video showing a bit more detail on how exactly to make these, and it will be following me on my progress through creating 2 armies for the samurai era to go with my new rule set, Battle Block Sengoku. You can find out more about that in the link that's just appeared. And yeah, this has been a quick overview of my plastic mesh armies. Hopefully you found the video useful. Let me know if you give these a try, and tell me what you think and how you got on. Otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.